Welcome to Speak for Yourself from the crib, presented by Hyundai. Happy Monday, happy Memorial Day. Jason Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley. Glad to be with you today. We have a special holiday show planned for you today. Brad Keselowski, he won the Coca-Cola 600 last night, or the Coca-Cola 607-mile race last night. He'll be on Speak for Yourself today, as well as we'll talk about Troy Vincent, the NFL vice president, who says the NFL is planning on playing in front of packed stadiums this year. We'll tell you whether we think that's naive or not. All right, but first, we're going to start with the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. We're going to bring in LeVar Arrington from his crib in Pasadena. LeVar, welcome to the show. Dak Prescott, as we all know, in a long, protracted contract dispute with the Dallas Cowboys. He's been franchise tagged. We don't know how this is going to end, but the Cowboys fan site, Blogging the Boys, wrote an interesting article that speculated about the 4 different theories and which camp are you in as it relates to Dak Prescott. What do you believe? Here are the 4 different theories about Dak and his contract. The Cowboys don't believe Dak Prescott is a top quarterback. Theory number 2, the Cowboys waited too long to try to sign Dak Prescott. Theory number 3, the Cowboys want Dak Prescott to settle for less. Theory 4, Dak Prescott should realize how much he makes off the field. 4 different theories. Which one do you believe in the most? Marcellus, get us rolling.
I'm going to go with theory 3, which is Dak settles for less. It's actually the only theory that umbrellas all the other theories, which is in every single negotiation, this kernel exists where they are hoping that you would take less. Look at Dak Prescott. Get beyond the numbers. Get beyond the circumstances. This is still a contract negotiation that won't be fueled until they are reaching their deadline, like all negotiations, like in all walks of life. So my example actually happened to me in 2000 as a free agent. I get on the phone, 12:01. My ego was pumped because I'm the first phone call, and I have several teams interested. San Diego Chargers were first. They said, meet us in San Diego in the morning. Got on my flight, landed, did all the BS handshakes and saw the meeting rooms and saw the weight room. Who cares? Who cares? I'm talking numbers, where the commas at. And then finally they get on the phone with my agent and they say, look, let him go on his next trip to Oakland. I'm like, what? And they send me to Oakland. I'm sitting there at the airport, Whitlock, and their first offer was $20 million. Me, I'm ready. My agent's like, no, we never take the first offer. Trust me. And that's a key word, trust. Because in this situation, that's where Dak Prescott is. He's in a trusting relationship with his agency and representation as he's going through this process. You fast forward 1.5 hours and 10 phone calls back and forth with my agent, my deal was done for $40 million. They doubled it within an hour and a half. That's not happening with Dak. It's been a year and a half. But trust me, what's happening behind the scenes is a conversation where the Cowboys want him to take less. Dak may already be satisfied at the number that they're offering, but his representation is like, you pay me for a reason. I'm going to get top dollar. I've been in that argument with my agent behind closed doors. I think Dak is in it now because the Cowboys want him to settle for less.
I agree. I'm going with number 3 as well. They want him to take less. And let me add to taking less as they want him to take less than what he wants. It's not less when you're looking at, you're already in the 30 million range of what they're talking. So, yeah, I mean, where it's at now, I think the market has spoken. The value in which it seems and appears to be very clear coming from Dallas is that they're not going to go to this mythical number that continues to circulate around as to what gets the deal done. And so it continues to circulate back to that number 3, because if you're not willing to take less, considering all things given, then you got to sign your tender, put your offer on the table. As Marcellus mentioned, that trust of your agent, then now you got to trust that your agent is going to handle their business as you're handling your business as a player. Because right now, Dak is in a very dangerous situation in terms of if he doesn't sign that tender and go ahead and just put the offer on the table and play, then now, you don't really know how this ends, especially with the addition of Dalton being brought into the fold.
Look, I can't dispute either one of you all taking theory number 3. I'll just ask, how do you jump over theory number 1? Because to me, it's clear the Cowboys don't believe Dak is a top quarterback. That's why they want him to take less than what he values himself at. If Dak Prescott were Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, this thing would have been over months ago, maybe a year ago. They would go, if I even throw Carson Wentz, if they thought he was Carson Wentz. There's probably a couple other guys I can't think of right now. But if they thought Dak was a top quarterback, they would overpay. But because they don't think he's a top quarterback and they're trying to hit a number that they're comfortable with once the salary cap elevates, that's why they're not signing Dak. That's why there's no deal done. The Cowboys don't believe he's a top quarterback. They think he's a guy they develop. They think he's a very good quarterback. They think he's great for the franchise in terms of leadership. Everybody likes him. He's their guy. He's Danny White, but he's not Roger Staubach. You pay Roger Staubach whatever he wants and whatever the market says the top quarterbacks get. You don't do that for Danny White. And so I just think it's crystal clear the way the Cowboys have behaved, and even had offered him $33, $34 million a year or whatever, but that's them trying to hit that moving target because they know Mahomes and some of these other guys are going to get 40. They don't believe Dak's a top quarterback. And there's nothing wrong with that. They don't believe that as an insult to Dak. They're just like, hey, man, we looked at the numbers. We looked at, you had a career year. We went 8-8 in your career year. If you don't have pieces around you, Dak, it doesn't work for you or us. You're not Patrick Mahomes. You're not Deshaun Watson. You're not Lamar Jackson. You're not Aaron Rodgers. You're not Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's been getting it done with inferior pieces on the offensive side for years. I just don't think the Cowboys think he's a top quarterback.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think they do think he's a top quarterback. That's why there was an offer for $33 million per year before that career year Dak Prescott had individually last year. Dak is one of 6 quarterbacks since 1950 to have 40-plus wins in his first 4 seasons. Dak is top 5 in career passing rating, so it's not just a fluke one-year career year. We're talking about Dak Prescott, who's a guy who's durable, has started all of his games in the NFL. Only him and Phillip Rivers could say that in the last 4 years. And Russell Wilson. These are durable players who are actually putting up numbers. And I'm glad you keep him in that conversation with a Russell Wilson and that good company, because I think Dak has played himself somewhere south of that conversation, but in that ballpark to get that type of money. But I don't want to, look, I ain't stupid now, but I don't want to overlook what's more important in this negotiation. Yeah, you're right. Hey, what's more important than does Dak qualify for the amount he's going to get is the fact that Dak has already put himself in that position. And the only thing that's really happening behind the scenes, I'm trying to help people, is that him and his agent, Todd France, are having a conversation of trust. When is enough enough? And that's the conversation I had with my own agency, and he's having it as well. They always start off throwing peanuts at you. I don't give a damn who you are. Their first offer is going to be peanuts in comparison to what it can be. And we saw this happen in The Last Dance with Scottie Pippen. They look at you. Oh, you're a 4th rounder, Dak. You've never been paid on the field. Let's just throw these pennies at you and see if you bite like Scottie Pippen had to because of his family dynamic and circumstances. Oh, Dak's not biting at that. Okay. Now let's use the fact that this is life-changing money no matter where we land, 33, 34, 40. So, Dak, come on and take it. But Todd France, being well-versed in these situations, won't let Dak commit until he gets full value. And that's where we are right now.
I think there's truth to what both of you guys are saying. I kind of lean a little bit more towards what Whit is saying. I would follow the bottom line to see the value. So again, if I'm Dak Prescott right now, I sign my tender, I put the offer on the table, and I play. Because as it stands right now, he is not going to win a holdout situation. This is not an Ezekiel Elliott leverage situation like last year. I don't believe that Dak has the leverage. Even with those stats that you rattled off, Marcellus, I just don't see there being enough to quantify giving him the amount of money that he's asking for. So with that being said, play out the tender. You're going to have to play out trying to get more and more value instead of going with signing the deal. It's just sign less, then sign the tender and just play unless you get the number that you want. And then test and see if the market says, side, like you said, other teams, see if other teams come after this season, the way you play, and offer you more money closer to what it is you're looking for.
Listen, I want you guys both to respond to this. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I've already know Marcellus is going to say this is silly what I'm going to say. I think Dak is going to regret the way they've handled this situation. I really do. I think the longer this goes on, the more dangerous it becomes for Dak. If they ever get to any kind of workout situations and Dak is holding out and Andy Dalton's in there running the team, working with Mike McCarthy, the thought of going this season with Andy Dalton is going to creep into people's minds. And then the other thing that I think is going to happen eventually, everybody keeps talking about Cam Newton and the New England Patriots. The longer this drags on, the more there's an opportunity for Cam Newton and the Dallas Cowboys. And so I really believe it. My prediction is, and look, I'm stepping out on a limb. I could be dead wrong, and Dak may next week sign for $40 million. But as of right now, I honestly believe Dak is going to regret not accepting the $33, $34 million they already offered him. His eyes are bigger than his stomach, and his agent has talked him into a land where his talents aren't going to justify his demands.
Whew. I think that is harsh to say, regret. But in my description of what's happening between Dak and the Cowboys, I didn't give you the emotional content. Dak is going to be in a situation that is unsettling. It's unnerving to be in that position. You start to question yourself because you're putting so much trust in someone else to do their job when you feel like you've already done your job. Now, I told you, my situation only lasted an hour and a half. And every single second of that hour and a half, I was sitting there thinking, is my agent going to do the right thing? Is he going to cost me millions of dollars that I already put work in for, and then he's going to all of a sudden undermine that? That's where Dak is right now. But regret? No, because Dak still has the ultimate say in this negotiation, as LeVar just pointed out. Go out there and ball on this franchise tag. Your number is not going to go down, because if he even just stays the same quarterback, not even improved, the same quarterback, because of the cap going up, because of the fact that he potentially can be a free agent in the open marketplace, he's going to get more money. But it is unsettling to not have that money already in the bank. I understand that point.
Unsettling, and it probably feels like a slight. It's probably going to sting a little bit. It is going to impact his emotions as this moves forward. Oh, yeah. I mean, for him, if the numbers he's looking for aren't the numbers, he's going to feel like it's a slight. But here's the thing. Back to what Marcellus just said. You take that tender, if they have offered you $33, $34 million guaranteed, and your tender is going to pay you somewhere in around $31 million, you're talking about a difference of $2-3 million, right? So if I'm going to do this, I'm going to take this 1 year and take that $2 million difference risk and not create any type of craziness in terms of my relationship with my teammates, with the city, and what that opportunity represents because of the very thing that you just said, Marcellus. Go out there and play. I don't think he's going to play himself lower than the value where he's already at. So bet on yourself. Play on that tender. And as you move forward, the bottom line is I don't think you have any regrets if you take that, because to do a long-term deal that says in the 6th year, I'm going to get 45 guaranteed, I think that's unwise. So you take that tender, you play on that tender, And then you come back next year and you say, listen, it's going to be my way or no way. I'm going to go test the market, and this is it. I think that's where Dak is at this point.
LeVar, I'm going to give you a final question because Marcellus and I talked about this last week, and I think we did it with Mark Schlereth, not you. Would you rather have a package, and you got to answer this quickly, of Cam Newton and Andy Dalton, or pay Dak Prescott $35, $36 million a year on a long-term deal?
I'm going to go with Dak. Because there's more certainty.
That's why you ain't running no team.
Less uncertainty.
Yeah, go barbecue something right now.
I run more teams than you, Mr. Whitlock.
It's Memorial Day.
Grill and chill.
Go to the kitchen. Go do your cooking, man. Get you a haircut, please. All right, we got to go.
Don't do that.
Jim Jackson is just around the corner. We're going to talk about champions for charity. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning joined with Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson put on a great show. Jim's a huge golf fan. We'll get into that with Jim Jackson. Speak for yourself from the crib. Presented by Hyundai. More after this. A healthy lifestyle should be easy, right? Eat veggies, drink green smoothies, exercise to get your heart rate up, and do yoga to bring your heart rate down. Woo! Maybe not so easy, but there is something that helps improve everything, and you can do it with your eyes closed. It's sleep. Sleep Number knows what it takes to sleep your best. The Sleep Number 360 smart bed lets you choose your ideal firmness, comfort, and support on each side, your Sleep Number setting. It's the perfect solution for couples. These beds are so smart, they respond to your every move and automatically adjust to keep you sleeping comfortably all night. Proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. And now, for a limited time during the Memorial Day sale, save $1,000 on a new Sleep Number Special Edition smart bed, a queen, now only $1,799. You only find Sleep Number at Sleep Number stores or by visiting www.sleepnumber.com. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself from the crib, presented by Hyundai. Happy Memorial Day. Jason Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley. All right, we're going to roll out to Jim Jackson's crib out here in Beverly Hills. Bring Jim Jackson in to talk about champions for charity. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning pairing up with Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods for a charity golf event that people didn't know how this was going to go. Would it be exciting? Would it be enjoyable? We wake up and there's rain pouring down and expectations get lower and lower. But the damn thing was terrific. Tom Brady started out playing terribly, a laughingstock over social media. Charles Barkley talking smack on him. For the first 8 holes, Brady was horrible. Then he holes out, I believe, on hole 9 from the fairway, makes a big putt. Tiger and Peyton Manning win by 1 stroke, but it was very exciting, very entertaining. A unique look into Peyton Manning and Tom Brady as they competed on a golf course with 2 of the greatest golfers ever. Marcellus, get us rolling here. Do you feel like we learned anything about Peyton Manning and Tom Brady from this awesome charity golf event?
I'm not so certain we learned something, but we were reminded of something that we already knew, that superheroes can bleed. Tom Brady is not an 8 handicap. And if he is, good Lord, he's using that. Y'all remember that math? I don't know if you guys were around when they were sending out recruiting questionnaires. And everybody I know that ever had to fill out a recruiting questionnaire was always 2 inches taller, 20 pounds heavier, and ran a 4.4. That's how everyone's questionnaire looked when the colleges received them. That's what I'm thinking Tom Brady is thinking. That's the math he used to say he's an 8 handicap. Hell no. But this was a great reminder that even if you're great at something, doesn't mean you're great at everything or anything else. If you look at Tom Brady, he's known for throwing a football at the highest level, GOAT status. But for some reason in our world, especially a lot of fans, they think that translates into everything else he does. The GOAT will appear in all levels of his life. And I was glad to see that Tom Brady reminded us that no matter how great you could be at something else, the flip side can occur also in that same reality.
Hey, Marcellus, I'm going to tell you this. I'm a great golfer, okay, in my mind. It may be different when I get out there, kind of like that. But, you know, I don't know if I learned anything about the two, but I think you can really see why Peyton Manning is the ultimate pitch guy, why people love to, or companies love to include him in their commercials, because his personality lends itself to an event like this. Tom is more serious. He takes himself serious. Peyton doesn't. He can laugh and joke. And in a situation like this where some pressure, because you're not a professional golfer, you got millions of people watching, Peyton's personality lends a lot more to be looser. Hence, he played a lot better. I'm sure Tom is a better golfer than what we saw. But his personality, to me, wouldn't allow him to kind of let it go. Peyton's personality is like, hey, I'm here. I'm the everyday guy. You love me. You love what I do. I love being out here. And to me, that's what really stood out, besides Tom being terrible that first 9.
To me, I'm going to use Marcellus's word, reminder. I felt like we got a reminder of just who these guys are. And I actually have to give us in the media some credit in terms of we're pretty accurate based off what I saw yesterday in golf of our perceptions and descriptions of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. And I say that because we've painted Tom Brady as the ultimate competitor. If you challenge him, if you pull on his cape, eventually you're going to unleash the beast. And so here's Charles Barkley taking a major shot at him. And then instantly, Tom Brady has the greatest golf shot maybe of his life and holds out from the fairway right after he becomes a laughingstock to the point that Charles Barkley's clowning him on television. I thought we saw from Tom Brady, like, this dude is a competitor. And he was embarrassed by what was happening to him. And when he got a chance and he finally got riled up and dialed in, he actually contributed, redeemed himself on the second half of the golf match. And as it relates to Peyton Manning, this dude, to me, is the most prepared athlete perhaps we've ever seen in terms of his approach to football. And so I saw a guy leaning into his strengths. Peyton Manning was a beast on the par threes. You put an iron in his hand, and Peyton Manning was actually a hell of a golfer. He seemed very prepared for this and just kind of leaned into his strengths, did what he does well. Peyton Manning in football, I ain't here to take no sacks. I'm going to duck down. I'm here to throw the football from a clean pocket, blah, blah, blah. Peyton Manning, when it comes to these par threes, I'm going to help you out, Tiger. Other than that, you carry us. I'll knock down a putt. I just thought Peyton prepared, Brady, ultimate competitor. It actually was a reminder that, like, these guys are who we thought they were.
I feel that point right there. I mean, it's a little easier for Peyton to prepare. He is retired, and Tom Brady still has a day job, so I don't know how much is it you're prepared, or damn it, you playing a lot more golf than the other dudes, so that's what happens. Exactly. How about this? There's always been the narrative of who Tom Brady would be without Belichick, without those early career defenses and special teams performances. Who would have Tom Brady been if he were drafted to Buffalo instead of New England? And it's funny, watching that front 9, without the defense, without Belichick, Brady looked normal as hell. He looked like another dude just out there. And all of a sudden, we saw it kind of parallel his career when he finally steps up, and he's Tom Brady, not just riding with the others, but actually being the reason that he has success. But I really felt that golf showed us yesterday how it taps into a different nervous system than any other sport. And if you think about it, Jim, you playing basketball, Whitlock, playing football, there are moments when we can use our teammates to bail us out. There are moments where we have to work interdependently so that all the pressure's not just on one person. But in golf, if you've ever been up there for that tee shot in one of those real pro-ams with a gallery or silence and everyone's just staring at you, you are not qualified to turn off all that noise. And it's funny to watch Tom Brady, the great Captain Clutch, not be able to turn off all that noise and that internal chatter. It took him a few holes to get there. So that was a good learning lesson, if anything.
I think what you guys are saying, though, is ultimate. This is why they were great pros, because Peyton was able in golf. One thing you have to understand, okay, you hit a bad shot, you hit a good shot, that's one thing, but it's on to the next shot. You can't allow the previous shot to dictate your mindset of what's going on next. With Peyton, he was steady all the way through. Even though he had some great shots, he just, like you said, Jace, he leaned into who he was and stayed consistent. Tom, the mental part early on, he was a little rattled. He was a little shaken. It took him a little time. But the ultimate pro that he is, it's almost like a game of, when he's playing a game of football, the first half, it just doesn't feel right. The timing is off. You know, he may be overthinking the situation. But then he leans back into, okay, what do I do best? I focus in. So that back nine showed us Tom Brady's ability to put the pass behind him, not worry about the shots he didn't make, but now concentrate on what I need to do. And that, in golf, guys, as an isolated sport in football and basketball, I can blame it on my teammates if something happens. In golf, when I spray it right, when I spray it left, it's on me, bro. And I'm not competing against that next guy. I'm ultimately competing against the course.
All right, hey, very quickly, both of you guys respond to this. Jim, you play a lot of golf. Marcellus, you actually started out as a kid as a golfer. I've heard y'all kind of say two different things. Marcellus, you seem to indicate Tom Brady, not very good. He's not an 8 handicap. Jim, you think he's actually better than what he showed yesterday. Yeah. Who's right here, Marcellus? Is it Jim thinks Tom's better than what he showed, or is he as bad as what you think?
No, he's as bad as I think. Look, don't let the weather fool you, Jim. Rain or shine, that dude is a 20. I mean, look, I know a 20 when I see a 20. I get in the mirror every day and I see a 20. This is a 20 minimum. It might be more than that. He does not keep the cart moving smoothly. There will be, if you go out and play with Tom Brady, trust me, you and the cart people gonna be real cool. You're gonna have some time to go to the bathroom because Tom Brady gonna be in the bushes on the other fairway. Trust me.
Hey, but the manipulation of a handicap is interesting because it depends on the course in which you keep your handicap. If that course is a little bit easier, your handicap is going to be lower. If it's a harder course, your handicap is going to be higher. So that plays into if you were 8 at his course, but if you go play Augusta, your handicap may be a 15. So that's totally two different things.
Listen, I'm going to side with Jim. I think he's a little better than what we saw. The point you all made about, look, Peyton Manning's retired. He gets to play a lot of golf. Obviously, Phil and Tiger play a lot of golf. Tom Brady just shows up on national TV and has to play golf. I don't blame him for having nerves the first 8, 9 holes. All right, stick around. We're going to talk with the winner of the Coca-Cola 600 or the Coca-Cola 607, Brad Keselowski, the big winner last night from his crib. Speak for yourself from the crib, presented by Hyundai. More after this. NASCAR is back and continues tonight on FS1 with some Xfinity Series racing. Then tomorrow night, catch the Gander Outdoor Truck Series. And on Wednesday, it's the NASCAR Cup Series live from Charlotte Motor Speedway, beginning at 8 Eastern on FS1.
That's my dog.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself from the crib. Happy Memorial Day. Jason Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley, joined now by the winner of the Coca-Cola 600 last night, Brad Keselowski. Brad, thank you so much for joining us. The Coca-Cola 600 was actually the Coca-Cola 607-mile race last night. You won the longest race in NASCAR history. What was that like?
Long. Yeah, 600 miles is a brutal race, over 4.5 hours. And, we started, I think, at 6 o'clock, and we didn't end until after midnight. So there was a small little rain fill in there, but, it's a tough race. It's so grueling. I stepped on the scale this morning. I lost over 6 pounds. And I said, cover sign that before I get back Wednesday. But, it's a tough one. It's a big race to win. It's one of the crown jewels of NASCAR. It's one of the older races on the sport or in the sport. And I hadn't won it until last night. So it feels so good to check that one off of my career bucket list. And don't worry, I'm going to try to win it again. But the first one is sure special, guys.
Hey, crazy finish last night. Chase Elliott is actually winning with 2 laps to go. Caution flag comes out. He decides to pit. You decide to stay on the track. Talk us through what the decision-making was like. Surprised he pit, or I guess he had no choice.
Yeah, it's a tough call. You know, when you're leading these races at the end and you get that late race yellow, you just know the field is going to do whatever they can to try to take you down. And, here you see William Byron spinning out. He had a flat tire. And, Chase and his team had to make a tough call. And I've been in those shoes. And it seems like sometimes you just can't make the right call. Whatever you do, everybody does the opposite, and you get taken advantage of. And it just didn't play out his way. I've lost races that way, so I can sympathize for it. And last night it went our way, where we were able to get the straight run in second. And Chase had passed us. He was clearly one of the better cars, and we were able to kind of sneak this one through. But you win some, lose some that way. It's all part of it.
Now, Brad, you mentioned it. You finally were able to check that box, your first Coca-Cola 600 win, but there are no fans there to see it. What was that infield experience like after the win?
Yeah. It's definitely different, Marcellus. I think that I look at racing, and I think to myself, in the current climate we're in, that I'm just so glad we're able to race. You look at where most pro sports are, where they can't even compete. I'm glad that we were able to compete, and I try to count our blessings and be thankful for them. And, I think you look at the sports landscape, and, certainly it's been dramatically affected, but not as much as some other landscapes. So try to remember how fortunate I am to be a race car driver and to be able to compete in major events like the Coke 600. I certainly miss the fans, and we want them back, but we want everybody to be safe and do it as healthily as possible. And we want to make sure that we're welcome in these states that let us race, like North Carolina did. And in order to do that, we can't be getting other people sick. So I'm glad that we're able to get the race in. And in this format, it's very likely no one got sick. So that's a good thing, I think.
And we were able to see a truly special moment. You're known for waving a giant American flag outside the car window after a win. How cool was it to do that on Memorial Day?
Yeah, it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I can tell you that. This is my 11th time running that race and my first time winning it. And I've led a lot of laps, sat on the pole, done a lot of great things in that race. But having checked this part of it off, the actual win, at the end, that's a pretty important part. And Memorial Day, with NASCAR is always something that's going to be really close to our hearts, because NASCAR was founded in 1948 by a bunch of men and women who just got back from serving in World War II. And, with respect to that, they're very well connected to what it means to be American. And we want to keep that tradition and honor those who've made the ultimate sacrifice, which is what Memorial Day is all about, the best way we know how. And whether it's the American flag or the name of a fallen soldier on the windshield of all the cars this year, these seem like the least we can do. And I'm proud to be a part of it.
Brad, you mentioned losing 6 pounds during the race, but this was also your third race in 7 days. You're back at it again Wednesday in Charlotte. How are you feeling physically, and how tough is this constant schedule?
Well, yeah, especially coming off of a 600-mile race. I think, Jason, you look back at the old days of the sport, and they used to race 2 or 3 times a week, but the races were much. And back then, even when they did have a long race, it was really common where they would have backup drivers, and they would, switch in the middle of the race. And obviously, we're not doing that anymore. So I think probably what stands out to me is just trying to get those recoveries in, trying to get a good workout in, trying to eat and regain their weight, and most importantly, stay hydrated during the stretch. So a really tough stretch on the drivers. And of course, then we go to Bristol, Tennessee, which is a really demanding track physically. This is a true test of the athleticism of all the drivers and their ability to endure a really tough climate and environment that I don't know if we've ever seen before.
Brad, we'll let you go on this. I'm an old Indianapolis boy. I'm 53 years old. I grew up at the Indy 500. Roger Penske, to me, the greatest name in racing. Now, a lot of success over in NASCAR. You guys won the Cup Series in 2012. I consider Team Penske the greatest name, the greatest team in auto racing. I'm teeing you up here. Penske, you've raced for Dale Jr. To me, am I wrong for thinking of Penske as the gold standard for racing?
Well, we'd like to think so. I'm sure there's a couple of our owners that would maybe argue a little bit differently on that point. But, Roger Penske has done so much. He's got more rings on his fingers from race wins and big race wins, not just race wins, than he's got fingers and toes. But I'm proud to add to that legacy and hope I get to do so for years to come. And we're really proud to have him as the car owner and a guy, heck of a guy, and proud to call him boss.
Thank you, Brad. Congratulations. Hopefully you'll be back in the winner's circle on Wednesday. All right, stick around. Speak for Yourself rolls on. LeVar Arrington's going to rejoin us. We'll talk about whether NFL stadiums will be full this weekend, like Troy Vincent of the NFL says. All right, Speak for Yourself from the crib, presented by Hyundai. More after this.
It's Darnell's. That's my guy. My question of the day.
All right, welcome back to Speak for Yourself from the crib on Memorial Day. Speak for Yourself brought to you by Hyundai. All right, time now to bring in our boy Darnell Smith and LeVar Arrington for Darnell's question of the day. All right, Darnell, take it away.
Yes, sir. Let's talk some NFL. We've all been watching as America starts to slowly reopen, and it sounds like the league is hoping to be fully open for business sooner rather than later. According to VP of Football Operations Troy Vincent, the NFL is planning to have full attendance at stadiums at the start of the year unless the medical community tells them otherwise. I want to ask you guys, do you think it's naive to think this will happen?
No, I don't think it's naive, and I say that because I'm starting to see a lot of Americans, a cross-section of Americans, start to be like, hey, man, we're moving on. There were pictures over the internet this weekend of people partying at the Lake of the Ozarks. I lived in Missouri for 16 years. I know the Lake of the Ozarks very well. People were getting their Memorial Weekend party on. Then I saw pictures of Floyd Mayweather and his crew in Arizona at a packed nightclub in Arizona getting their party on. I look at this stuff and I think to myself that full football stadiums, if you're willing to go stand in a pool, where people do a lot of different things in the pool, if you're willing to go to nightclubs and hang out and drink and do all this, why is it unreasonable for the NFL to think that their stadiums could be full? I think the American public is ready to take on the coronavirus with a little less fear than what we have been the previous 2 or 3 months.
I'm with you there on that point, Whitlock. It's not crazy to think this at all. First, let's give it the proper framework. We're talking 2 to 3 months from now. And people who don't necessarily can anticipate what that's going to look like, go back 2 or 3 months and how drastically different our world was then. And it could be drastically different going forward as well. Laying that groundwork, if you're the NFL, you're almost the corner man to a boxer right now, because I think you can fill up the stadiums, but you got to protect people from themselves. As a corner man has to protect his fighter from himself, because he will go out there and risk it all. And knowing fans, diehard fans who are always on a mission to prove their loyalty and how they will die for their teams, they would roll the dice, whatever risk level that is, to go out there and show their loyalty and their fandom. So I think it's a serious issue that the NFL is considering. At the same time, the NFL has to be mindful that if we open the doors, these fans will come in through droves.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's naive at all. And just adding to what you guys have already said, sub-freezing, below 0 degree weather, you see fans with no shirts on, right? It's raining, snowing. You see no shirts on, right? Guys dive. You played in Buffalo. Guys diving off the top of trucks and houses onto tables and breaking tables and stuff like that. Some of this stuff doesn't even compare to how dangerous the coronavirus is, right? So to me, when you think about what it is that we're talking about right now with some fans, as you said it right. When you were talking about the Civil War, give me my my liberties or give me death, right, on Memorial Day. They're going to say, give me my sports, give me my seat. You know, there are some people that their seat means more to them at the stadium that they go to sit at. Now, this I'm putting y'all up on game. The seat means more to them than anything else, including kids and relatives. Remember that. We're going to be there.
Look, and I'm going to go here and take it to a level that maybe I'll get ridiculed for. But I actually believe I'm looking forward to sports returning, and I'm looking forward to putting my big butt in a seat at an arena, at a stadium. I actually feel like it's my civic duty. And because, again, I'm not joining the military. I never was going to join the military. My father, uncles, brother, all of them had military service. It's stuff I believe in. So I look for my little moments where I can show some patriotism and support of the country. And I think it's important for me and other people to go out and live your life. And that is not trying to diminish the coronavirus. That's not trying to diminish the risk. But when I think about the risks other people took so that we could be sitting here on Memorial Day, sitting in our homes, making a good living, enjoying the lives that we are living, people took real risks in comparison to just the fear of the coronavirus. And again, I'm not trying to minimize it, but I've been trying to just explain to friends, family members, people I talk to, rather than this fear of each other and social distancing and blah, 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 I wish we had, and I'm talking to myself too, that we had that same fear as it related to our diets and what we put inside our body, how heavy we allow ourselves to be, because those are the real risk factors for corona in my mind, more so than shaking someone's hand or sitting next to them at a game. If you want to sit around and be overweight like me, corona will come and get you. We need to be, our attention to me needs to be focused on that, things we can control and the ways we can improve ourselves so our immune system can handle these viruses and bacteria. I'm off my soapbox. Marcellus, bail me out.
Yeah, man. Look, this is where we differ right here, because I think it's my civic duty with my 8 season tickets to the new SoFi Stadium to slang them, to give them out to the people, to sell them, but not me. It's a Doritos on the couch moment for me, brother. I am not going out there looking at these high fives go over my head, because damn sure I ain't putting my hand up there to high five anybody I don't know. I'm not risking my family. I have 8 season tickets because I'm a family of 6, and I was going to invite 2 of my boys, y'all 2. Y'all can go. Sell the other tickets. Give me my money. And that's it. But I am not putting myself in harm's way for this. This is why. It's the same conversation NFL is having, mitigating risk. The NFL knows, hey, if we open our gates, they're going to come. However, how is that going to look in terms of optics on our lap? And that's the same thing for me in terms of risk. How am I going to look and feel putting my family, my father, who's an elder, or my kids who are immune compromised because they're youngsters? I don't know how to really reconcile all of that right now. So I give it to you like this, Whit. I threw a lot of great parties back in my days when I was playing. And look, who doesn't want to go to the best house? Damn right. Who doesn't want to go to the best house party in the world? Everyone does. However, who wants to host the best house party in the world? That's the conversation. I'm not hosting it. I'm not being a part of it. I'm not taking that responsibility. I want the fun, but I don't want that responsibility. That's where the NFL is.
Because you're not a fanatic. You got to keep in mind.
True.
Those places are going to be filled with fanatics, and fanatics are going to take a risk versus reward assessment before they go, and there will be more about the reward than it will be about the risk. Bottom line, there will be fans within sensibility of what the NFL leads out with based upon what the health risks are and concerns are.
My whole life, and you hit it on the head, LeVar, fanatic. My whole life right now is built upon Ball State playing at Ann Arbor, Michigan. I've been waiting for this game for like 3 or 4 years. I will be in the big house if it's just me alone, sitting out there cheering on Ball State. When Patrick Mahomes takes the field, I'm headed to Arrowhead Stadium. I will be in the house. Pacers, next year when they start, I will be in the house because I am a fanatic, and I think it's my civic duty. Happy Memorial Day. Uncle Jimmy, is around the corner. We'll have an approval rating on Tom Brady. Speak for yourself from the crib, presented by Hyundai. More after this. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Jason, Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley. Time to roll out to Uncle Jimmy's crib, get his take on Tom Brady and the golf we saw this weekend. Uncle Jimmy looking like Tiger Woods. Give us your thoughts, Jimmy.
Hey, man, look here. Let me tell you what Tom Brady showed me yesterday. Tom Brady was a classic example of what happens when they say that pressure will make a monkey eat fire. It wasn't until the pressure got on Tom Brady's ass that he made that hole-in-one. Up until then, his game looked a whole lot like you, short and wide. Now, Uncle Jimmy, on the other hand, I'm like Peyton Manning. I got that wicked slice. I go long and to the right. See, I love golf. Golf is about green, caddies, and of course, I'm going to play all. I don't know about you. It's my life, baby.
We'll see you now.